This is the Sony 24-50 f2.8 G lens, and I honestly feel like I can review this in less than 60 seconds. Optically, it fits somewhere in between the 24-70 G Master 1 and the 24-70 G Master 2. Better than the Mark 1, slightly worse than the Mark 2, but it is much smaller, only 440 grams, and obviously only goes to 50 millimeters on the long end. But it's also reversed of what you might expect. At 24 millimeters, the barrel extends, and at 50 millimeters, it retracts. But it's half the price of the 24-70 G Master 2, so you're getting a smaller lens that weighs less, doesn't zoom as far, but costs significantly less. And it's good quality, it's a G lens, and honestly, it's very similar to a lot of the other Sony lenses we reviewed recently in terms of both their benefits, but also their shortcomings. I like it for the price, and maybe it is a handy lens for this focal range that people could take advantage of, and it balances quite nicely on the new compact cameras like the A7C2, A7CR. Review over. But I realize that people are going to want to know more than that, but if that's all you wanted to know, good, but then you're going to miss out on the next thing we're going to do, which is that I've been wanting to use this TV for more than just what I've been using it for. Originally I set it up thinking we could do remote interviews and stuff like that, but I haven't done one yet. So who better to bring on for our first remote interview guest to discuss this lens than the creator who said this.
Do we really need lens reviews? Who gives a shit?
So let's bring on Patrick Tomaso, and then after that, we'll open up Lightroom and we'll do all the pixel peeping that I know many of you enjoy. So I brought you on because we both have this new Sony lens, the 24-50, and I'm curious to get your experience on it. I haven't actually given any kind of disclosure, so maybe this is an opportunity to do that. Sony lent me this lens. They also sent me an A7CR, again, as a loaner. I think they're trying to showcase how well they kind of balance together. Sony didn't sponsor this video, and obviously I'm going to send this stuff back and I'll get to keep it, whatever. This video does have an actual sponsor though, and that's Storyblocks. Thank you for dealing with that, Patrick. Now, tell me, what do you think about the lens?
I bought my A7 IV coming on 2 years now, I guess. And at the time, it was a pretty big investment for me because I was coming from Lumix and Fuji, and I was like, I really don't want to spend a whole lot of money on Sony glass. And so back then, when I dropped like $4 grand on an A7 IV, I looked to Sigma options to get something affordable for this camera. And so I ended up buying like the 28-70 Sigma. I got the 16-28 Sigma, 2 lenses, both were around $1,000. But had this lens been out back then, I probably would have bought this lens because around $1,200, $1,500 bucks, I think they're talking about the pricing for this thing.
I think it's going to be $1,100 US, which puts it like almost, actually slightly less than half price of the GM2.
Which is, in my opinion, is huge. I think that's actually a really big deal. Yeah, I find that 24-70 too expensive. I mean, I'm not for anything. It's just like I like affordable lenses. For me, I don't see the $2,000 or whatever that thing costs like in the image, like in terms of like return on investment. I've been fine with my Sigmas, and I know they're not the most optically perfect lenses, but they get the job done. I don't have clients complaining, and they were affordable. And I'm finding the same thing with this lens now too. And sorry, I keep pointing at it because I'm actually shooting with it right now as my webcam with the A7 IV.
I was wondering why you weren't holding it as a prop.
I'm shooting on it, yeah.
You're not feeling like you're going to miss anything, missing that 20 mil on the long end there?
I mean, look, I'm much more into the wide side of things and wanting more reach. Like I always find myself like, I wish I could go wider. Would it be nice if this thing was more like a 20-70? You know, Panasonic makes a kit lens that's 20-60. And I've always found like, oh my God, that's such a nice sweet reach from 20-60 on full frame is really nice. The problem with that lens is it's a kit lens, so it's f3.5 to 5.6. Right. So getting something around a 20-60 at 2.8 would be ideal. But at this price point, for the optical quality, getting the focus breathing compensation, and all the just like Sony bells and whistles, the great autofocus and stuff like that. Also, even like the declicked aperture, amazing for video and whatnot. You're getting that whole like Sony experience at a really great price that I'm like, okay, yeah, 24 isn't the widest thing in the world, but it's pretty practical wide. And the 50 is totally fine for me. Like I said, if you have a really good Sony with a crop mode, you know, like A7 IV, A7Cs and stuff like that, I think if I had an A7S III, right, where you don't have that crop mode, I'd be thinking differently for sure. But because I can throw this thing in Super 35 mode and get more reach out of it, like 1.5x, I don't feel like I'm losing anything on that telephoto side, right?
Have you been tripped up by the 24 extension, 50 retraction zoom thing?
Yeah, I hoped we were gonna talk about that because like as soon as I grabbed it, I was like, it was so off-putting to me at first. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can use this lens. Like this is really bizarre to me. It feels so strange, especially if you're someone who like walks around with a camera, which I think this is sort of the ideal target for this. Like you have a little A7C, you're gonna leave it at 24, right? Like you're not gonna leave it at 50, but your brain wants to leave it at 50 because that's the compact mode, right? And so that to me is a little weird. It's taken, I mean, we've had it for a couple of weeks now, right? I've done a few shoots with it and I still find myself collapsing it. So I keep putting it at 50 and then I go to turn my camera on. I'm like, why the hell is everything so punched in?
Yeah, I've had that exact experience.
I honestly think it's like the great kit. Oh, there's Beef barking. Are you picking that up? You hear him barking?
Oh, I forgot about the doggo. I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, I got a dog. Beefo, you good? Beef.
This is totally staying in the video. You gonna make a video on the lens?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So we don't want to spoil everything. How should we end this call? You got anything?
Get me out of this box.
Okay, let's do a quick walk around the build of the lens. First of all, for comparison, I've got two lenses here. I've got the 35mm G Master and the 20mm G, and you can see that it's sort of somewhere in between those two. It almost just feels like a compact prime in terms of its size. Now, obviously, this is when it's retracted because it does extend when you go to 24mm, making it a little bit longer, but still shorter than a regular standard zoom. It has an 11-bladed iris, so the bokeh is very smooth and circular, and it has two linear autofocus motors that Sony is saying will allow it to keep up with the A9 III's 120 frames per second. It's got many of the features you'd expect to see on a G series or above lens. We have a zoom ring, a focus ring, and then an aperture ring as well, which can be clicked or declicked, and it goes all the way from 2.8 to f22. There's also an AF/MF switch. The only thing that's missing that I tend to appreciate on some of the other lenses is the aperture lock, so that if I set it to A, I can lock it and it won't come off of that. This does not have that switch. Has a 67mm front filter thread, which again is similar to the other lenses I just mentioned. It's rated as being dust and moisture resistant, and the manual focus is also linear with a throw that's about 130 degrees. I would say if you started here, you would get to about down there when you reached all the way from minimum to infinity. And the total weight for this thing, if I haven't mentioned already, is 440 grams, so almost exactly a pound. And for comparison, the 24-70 G Master Mark II is 695 grams. So there's a significant weight reduction by getting rid of that 20mm on the long side. Now, I want to show you some test images and we can pixel peep here in Lightroom, but first, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Storyblocks. If you're not familiar, Storyblocks is a stock media platform that offers unlimited downloads of diverse and high quality content for one predictable subscription cost. No more expensive pay-per-click pricing. Just pick a plan, pay that fee, and that's it. And you'll enjoy a library of over 1 million HD and 4K video files, images, and motion graphics templates. And speaking of those graphics, Storyblocks has expanded the library beyond just Premiere Pro and After Effects, and now includes customizable DaVinci Resolve templates for motion graphics and animated sequence, an essential tool for creating professional looking videos at scale. And it's always easy to find what you're looking for in Storyblocks because the platform is very intuitive and new content is commissioned frequently to ensure you'll have fresh assets to satisfy your project. And on top of all that, Storyblocks is a special offer just for my audience. For a limited time, you'll get 3 additional months free if you sign up with an annual plan. Just go to storyblocks.com/undone or click the link in the description to take advantage of this exclusive offer, only available until the end of March 2024. The offer won't appear at checkout, but rest assured, it will be automatically added to your account shortly after you sign up. Thanks for listening. Now let's get into Lightroom. Okay, first up, I just have 2 images here to show the close focusing. The magnification of this lens is 0.3 times with autofocus and 0.33 with manual focus. This is the 50mm version. This is a Rubik's Cube, so you have a sense of, scale. And then this is at 24mm, so you get better reproduction on the wide end. Now, obviously, you're going to get more distortion, you're going to get closer, you're going to mitigate your light a little bit more. But if you want to get as close as possible, 24mm, and it's not bad for a zoom lens like this and for some other lenses I've seen, the macro reproduction isn't terrible. It's obviously not a true macro, not even close, but you can get pretty close for what kind of lens it is. Now let's move along here, comparing the distortion that I just talked about as well as some vignetting. I do not have the profiles enabled for this, but obviously vignetting and distortion can generally be handled either in post or with profiles in camera. This is at 50mm, so you can see there's a little bit of barrel distortion and not much in the way of vignetting. It's pretty decent. At 24mm, however, we get serious corner illumination issues and major barrel distortion. So this one is definitely going to need some correction on the 24mm side. Now let's take a look at chromatic aberration, mainly the longitudinal chromatic aberration, which is as you go out of focus, both foreground and background, adding fringing into those areas that usually can only be resolved by stopping down. If we look here, zoom right in, this one is the 50mm side of things, and it's actually pretty good. Let's pull it just a little bit more. As we go left and right, I'm seeing mostly black and white. The cut mat is black and white, so we want to see no color, really. And I'm not seeing too much. If we get pretty nitpicky here with the pixel peeping, as we go down, there's a slight amount of magenta alongside here, but it is extremely well controlled, which I am impressed by. And I'm seeing a little bit of like a teal color up in here. But again, this is zoomed way in. If we look at it here, does it look black and white? Yes. Along the lines? Yes. Good. That's all you can really ask for Loka. And then this is the 24mm side of things. Again, very clean, very neutral. I'm not seeing too much color on any of the lines. So again, really good job. I have no concerns for chromatic aberration on this lens. Let's talk about bokeh. So this is on 50mm, and we're seeing some cat's eye in the corner. This is wide open at 2.8, obviously. And if we look at the 24mm side, same thing, different shape, but still quite a bit of cutting in there. If you stop down to f5, which is what we have here, they mostly round out. Like I mentioned, this is an 11 bladed iris, which we can see here. And then if we try to evaluate the just quality of the orbs when wide open, this is what we get. Mostly pretty smooth. I don't find it to be anything remarkable. Like there is a bit of an outer membrane. I am seeing a little bit of busyness on the inside. You know, this is a 7 out of 10 bokeh. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. You know, like whatever. I do see a little bit of color fringing on the 24mm side. Let's take a look at the 50mm and see if we have it there as well. Not as bad. So not as bad for the fringing on the 50mm, but there is some, as you can see here, on the 24mm. So overall, the bokeh is for an f2.8 zoom that goes 24-50 for this price, it's probably on par for what it should be. Nothing miraculous. And then I want to talk a little bit about the parfocal because I was impressed by this. I did a couple different focus, like focus wide, then zoom to tight, focus tight, zoom to wide, and I was getting really, really good results. So have a look here. If we see the sort of sharpness of the text here, is this loaded? I think so. And then we zoom out and take the shot again. Still very, very sharp. And then same thing if we take the shot wide and then zoom in afterwards, it's still really sharp. So I would give it a high score in the parfocal department. And it also does reasonably well to keep up with like crash zooms. Not like that's what you would do a lot in 24-50, but if you want to, the focus doesn't lag behind too much. So that's good as well. And then regarding focus on these types of pulls, focus breathing is quite noticeable. Now keep in mind, you're going to probably be pairing this with a body that has focus breathing compensation, because even the ones that don't, that I've been complaining about, we've seen that firmware announcement that said that they should be getting it as well. So focus breathing compensation should deal with any focus breathing, but in its current state, if you use it on a camera like I did with the A1 that doesn't have focus breathing compensation yet, I found that there was quite a bit. I'm probably playing it over top of me talking right now. And both at 50mm and at 24mm, I found it to be quite noticeable and a bit distracting at times. Overall, I think this is a great lens. You know, there's nothing miraculous about it. And I think for some people, it's not too exciting. But I think if you're somebody that lives in that 24-50 zone, you're going to look at this lens and say, hey, that's where I shoot most of the time. Definitely, I'll take the half price deal compared to the 24-70 GM2. And why wouldn't you? I mean, you're getting so much of the same benefits and yeah, some of the same cons. So really, it's a no-brainer. If you're somebody that mainly shoots 24-50, you're just giving up 20mm on the long side and this weird thing where it extends at 24mm. But other than that, it's a great option for the money. And I think it's a darn good lens. And I agree with Patrick, it would make a pretty sweet kit lens. Make sure you check out Patrick's video. Thanks to him for coming on. I don't know why I keep pointing the TV, he's not there anymore, but he'll probably have some different things to say. So go watch his video. And yeah, see you in the next one. All right, I'm done.
Get me out of this box.